Han Sen followed old Huang out of the shelter, and they ventured west. After 10 miles of travel, they encountered a black snake resting on a rock. Its body was as thick as a barrel, and it had to be at least 50 meters long. It is a sacred blood creature, you're right. Han Sen scanned it and took notice of the life force. Han Sen brought out his bow and summoned a saber-toothed bee arrow. Old Huang, ready yourself for a fight. Han Sen loosed the arrow. It pierced through the snake's already shredded flesh and embedded itself entirely within the beast. The black snake shrieked in agony and took off after Han Sen. It expelled a black smoke from its mouth as it went, and it looked terrifying. The snake can breathe a horrid mixture of fire and toxic smoke. Han Sen summoned his dragon blood snake as he ordered them all to fall back. Han Sen pranced quickly in retreat, weaving his way past trees and bushes, using what he could as momentary cover. The black snake was strong, and it continued as it was for quite some time. But eventually, as all things did, the blood loss took its toll. He fired arrow after arrow, each striking the wounds of the giant snake. After an hour of this, the black snake lost its composure and fell to the ground. It remained there, with at least 200 arrows protruding from its scaly skin. Sacred blood creature. Black python killed. No beast soul gained. Consume its flesh to gain 0 to 10 sacred geno points randomly. Han Sen felt great relief following that battle. It had almost been too hot for him to handle, and he was supremely thankful the creature had been found wounded. He did not fancy going up against such a foe if it was at full health. As they prepared to transport the creature back, something leapt out of the forest towards the snake's body. It grabbed the snake, threw it over its shoulder, and ran away. Everyone was frozen stiff. An ape had just waylaid them. How dare you take my kill? That belongs to me. Han Sen's wrath was quickly incited, and he fired arrows as he yelled at the fleeing simian. It had positioned the snake across its back too, so that the corpse would be the recipient of any arrows fired at the ape's back. Fuck you, monkey. Han Sen was furious. He had to do something, but first he told old Huang to return. The blue ape continued running through the tangled overgrowth of the forest, and Han Sen planned to go after it. Unfortunately, it too was a sacred blood creature. As Han Sen gave chase, the blue ape sped up. It ran faster than Han Sen could. That surprised him too. Han Sen was unable to catch up, and after a while of chasing it, the thief had gained a lead that increased until it was completely out of sight. But a few days later, there were growing reports of a blue-colored fiend making a habit of stealing kills and even wounding people. Han Sen had been unable to chase the blue ape before, but things might be different with Bauer in tow. If the ape made an appearance and did something to upset Bauer, Han Sen was fairly sure she'd use the gourd to make quick work of it. Han Sen found a black scorpion lying ahead and noted it was primitive class. He fired an arrow. The scorpion's carapace was broken by the sudden shot, and the insect quickly died. And just as this happened, a blue flash leapt out of the bushes. Han Sen immediately opened the 3 tiers of his Dongxuan Sutra. As he did, he covered the ape and sealed its 7th sense. Where are you going to run now, you little imp? Han Sen pulled out his bow and fired. Having been unexpectedly robbed of its 7th sense, the blue ape was quite shocked. It frantically panicked as if it had been blinded, and a saber-toothed bee arrow had already made a home on the hairy fiend. The sharp arrow hit the monkey's soft belly, and it accelerated as it came into contact, spinning as if it were a drill. Han Sen gave chase, determined to fire another arrow that would strike the monkey's arse. Through the boons of Dongxuan aura, Han Sen was able to fire the arrows silently. The blue ape's arse was bleeding. It looked rather funny. Bauer clapped and laughed at the sight. Han Sen was going to fire another, but the ape's blue light appeared, and after this occurred, the speed of the ape greatly increased. Although Han Sen had lost sight of the creature again, all was not lost. This time, he had drawn blood. With a good whiff of the ape's scent, Han Sen would be able to track it and discover where the ape had gone to. Dad, monkey. Han Sen peered in the direction she was pointing, and suddenly saw an army of monkeys jumping around. The monkeys had already spread out to surround them, something which had shockingly escaped Han Sen's realization. The thieving blue ape made an appearance, and as it revealed itself, so did all the other monkeys that surrounded them. Save for the soul's sacred blood blue ape, which had clearly established itself as king, the rest were all a mixture of primitive and mutant class types. In unison, all the apes let out a cry and ran towards Han Sen. Han Sen opened his Dongxuan aura and sealed the 7th sense of every creature there. And like they had just become headless chickens, all the monkeys lost their sense of direction and became aimless. The blue ape's behavior was starting to aggravate Han Sen. The beast was too cowardly, despite its dastardly acts. Han Sen wanted to fight it face to face, but his inability to do so annoyed him. Han Sen chased the ape king, but again, he was unable to keep up. He could have sworn the simian fiend was cheating, and before long, it had completely disappeared from sight. After 10 miles of travel, he saw a grand mountain many of the monkeys were scaling. Han Sen admired the grandeur of the mountain and was in awe at the spectacle. Its peak was nestled above the clouds, and there was a massive waterfall. It was incredibly beautiful. If I had to wager a guess, I'd say the Monkey King makes its home here, Han Sen said to himself, and then thought, now I know where you live. Upon reaching it, Han Sen found that there was a cave behind the waterfall. He scanned the entrance and could not see a thing. All traces of the monkeys had vanished. Hansen walked inside the cave with caution, slightly worried that he was walking into a trap. But nothing happened. Holding Bauer tight, he ran towards the light. It was an exit, and speeding up, Hansen ran out. Before him lay a valley. There were countless monkeys playing in that valley, and across the verdant greens of that expanse were gorgeous trees. Are they genoplants, I wonder? Hansen looked at the trees, and after a brief scan, Hansen could detect the life force of each. They were indeed all genoplants. The monkeys were gorging themselves on the succulent fruits, even now as he looked on. Awesome! So many plants with really high life forces. I most certainly hit the jackpot today. Bauer could not wait any longer, and she escaped Hansen's grasp. She crawled to the nearest tree and climbed it. She picked up one of the fruits and ate it. Daddy, come and eat the fruit. If only I could be so carefree. Unfortunately for me, I have monkeys to deal with first. Hansen was not currently in the mood to eat, and there were at least 1,000 monkeys with their eyes fixed upon Bauer as she munched their food. The Monkey King made an appearance, and after it noticed her, and it yelled at her in its simian tongue. All the monkeys began hopping and jumping about in excitement. Hansen immediately grabbed Bauer away from the tree and activated his Dongshuan aura. But this time, the Monkey King seemed immune to the seventh sense stifling effects. It came directly towards Hansen, without pause or confusion. Needing an extra kick, Hansen activated Jade Sun Force and Long Live to speed up and evade the incoming attack. Ducking and weaving, Hansen was getting chased all over the place by the Monkey King. They ran across the valley for a long time, but then, Hansen stumbled across a wine jug that had been crafted from jade. Half of the pot was in the soil, and only its rim and lid were exposed above the earth. The reason it stood out to Hansen, and why the wine jug was most curious, was the fact that it was 10 meters tall. He could not fathom what sort of being would use it to pour wine for themselves. Before he could admire it more, though, the Monkey King was closing in. In the nick of time, Hansen evaded the attack. But when he did so, he took notice of a giant stone bowl in the ground. This shocked Hansen as well. They were curious items, and yet they were all half sunk into the ground. There was a 40-meter-tall cauldron in the area, too. Hansen ran the length of the valley, from end to end. He could not detect the presence of a single human or spirit there, but now he had been trapped. He had backed himself into a corner, which proved to be a dead end, and he had no way out. The Monkey King was still in pursuit, and it was drawing near. It came for Hansen with blistering speed, gleaming with a blue light all the while. Hansen jumped into the air, wishing to fly up and above the rabid ape. But the Monkey King jumped and tried to attack Hansen. Fortunately for Hansen, he was adept with airborne maneuvers, and he was able to sidestep in the air to evade the monkey's fist. As he did so, he called out to the monkey, "Haha, Chunky Kong, I can fly, I bet you can't do that." The Monkey King did not look angry, though. It looked happy, and a grin formed on its face. Hansen felt as if he hit a wall. Brought to a sudden stop, he fell back down with Bauer. He reactivated his flight and dodged the Monkey King, who had come over for a follow-up attack. Hansen flew up to where he hit something solid, but this time he went slowly. He felt as if he was coming into contact with an invisible wall, and when he reached out to touch it, it bounced him away. What sort of power has created this invisible skyborne hurdle? Hansen tried exiting the valley from another portion of the sky, but he was met with the same results there. All the while, the Monkey King continued attacking while Hansen dodged. It had been going on for some time now, though, and he knew he could not keep it up much longer. Hansen decided to fall back to the tunnel he had entered the valley from, but strangely, it had disappeared. He punched where he believed the cave had once been, and the power of his strike was deflected back into him. The Blue Monkey King came swiftly from behind, and Hansen decided he'd had enough of this ordeal. He stopped dodging and simply activated his Super King Spirit mode. Hansen punched the Monkey King with tremendous force, which knocked it backwards into a roll. Unexpectedly, it landed perfectly. Hansen's Super King Spirit mode was always on a short fuse. If he stood a chance, he couldn't waste a single second. He had to take his opponent out before the timer expired. But weirdly, the Monkey King was starting to run off again, and Hansen was unable to catch up. Hansen deactivated his Super King Spirit mode. Hansen knew he wouldn't be able to catch up with the ape, so he thought it best if he saved some strength. The Monkey King looked scared of Hansen, surprisingly. It stopped, then simply watched him from afar. The Monkey King commanded the other monkeys to follow it, which made them back away from Hansen. The worst they did was give a mean stare to the intruders of the valley as they heeded their king's order. With the valley now mostly clear of monkeys, Hansen decided to explore the area a bit. The only things of note there, aside from the trees, were the oversized dishes and cooking implements. None of them were particularly special or fancy in appearance, and they looked fairly practical and crude. Whatever they were made by hand, that was for sure. After the fight, he noticed he was feeling rather hungry. He ate some of the red fruits Bauer had consumed to fill his empty tummy. They tasted sweet and refreshing. It's no wonder she loves these things. They taste much better than the seedless fruit you can buy back in the Alliance. Hansen ate a whole fruit. Super King Self-Spirit Gene +1. Hansen was shocked, learning that a single one of those fruits could provide one Self-Geno point. Yaksha had only managed to grow one Devil King tree, the fruit of which also provided one Self-Geno point. Is it possible that all these trees can be as bountiful as the Devil King tree's fruit? Hansen, not sparing any time, raced to grab another fruit. Super King Self-Spirit Gene +1. After Hansen ate the next, he heard the same announcement. He had rarely been this happy. What about this fruit here? Can they provide the same? When Hansen ate this fruit, he heard the announcement play again. He was giddy like a schoolgirl. If I eat them all, how many Self-Geno points might I receive in total? I'd wager a fraction of this value would be enough to cap off my Self-Geno point needs. Hansen, reveling in excitement, began munching all the fruit he could. Unfortunately for him, he was not a super creature and his belly had a limit. After 10 of the fruit, he was stuffed and could eat no more. After Hansen was full, he decided to look around for a way in which he might exit the area. The sides of the valley were tall and steep, and the sky was blocked by an invisible force. He had been trapped. The Monkey King and the monkeys were still in the region, but they did not dare provoke him. In fact, it seemed as if the monkeys themselves were looking for an exit as well. After the monkeys had eaten the fruit, their bodies seemed to morph and become stronger. Even the mangy, lanky monkeys were starting to buff up and look similar to the king. Hansen's face became dire when he noticed this. What's more, it seemed the Monkey King had only just found this place instead of living there, as Hansen had initially suspected. Hansen made sure to eat as much fruit as he could whenever space was reclaimed inside his stomach. Before long, he had reached the third tier of Super King Spirit mode. Hansen realized time itself was rather stiff in the valley too. It felt as if time was standing still there. The trees had stopped growing, the ripe fruit did not fall to the ground, and the unripened fruit stayed as they were. This valley is a strange place. Hansen was a little bewildered by the place he had found himself, but it seemed that, until the cave revealed itself again, he wasn't going anywhere. With no day and night cycle to mark the passage of time, Hansen had made sure not to lose track of a calendar though. He counted the hours that passed in his head, and every time the count hit 24, he made a mark. It might not have been the most accurate calendar, but it had to be fairly close. They were there for a long time, so long. Hansen believed they had all been stuck in that valley for 3 years. His Blood Pulse Sutra was up to its 9th tier. There had been no advancement with his Super King Spirit mode. It was still at 900, and Hansen was still unable to earn any more points for it. After 3 years, Bauer was still the baby she had always been, but Hansen understood her life cycle might have been different than a typical human's. On this day, as he frequently did, Hansen took a stroll all around the valley. He did this every day, trying to spot even the slightest difference in the place, which seemed to be stuck in time. And over the course of the 3 years, there had not been a single change. That is, except for the fruit they had all eaten. The trees were bare and the valley looked glum and dead, following their 3-year occupation of the place. If they didn't find a way to leave the valley soon, there was a possibility of a simian uprising, and Hansen and the apes would end up fighting again. But on this day, when Hansen approached where the entrance of the valley had once been, he had his breath taken away. Hansen almost cried tears of joy. The flat wall, which had blocked his return once before, now led into a tunnel. It was the exact same one he had traversed to get to the valley 3 years ago. After 3 long years, we are free. Bauer, come, we can leave this place. Hansen ran to Bauer and picked her up as hastily as he could. He was afraid the cave would disappear. He returned Thornbaron to the Sea of Soul and called over to the monkeys, saying, "Come on, let's go. We can leave." Hansen did not know whether they understood or not, and neither did he care to stay and find out. He raced back to the tunnel as fast as he could. As he ran through the dark tunnel, the roar of a waterfall began to echo around him. When the literal light at the end of the tunnel greeted Hansen's eyes, and the sound of that waterfall caressed his ears, Hansen felt like crying. Over the past 3 years, he had become far stronger and had advanced a considerable amount, but still, it felt as if he had spent the time in jail. Hansen ran out through the waterfall and flew into the sky with Bauer in his hands. He went up and up, shooting through the clouds. Hansen is back. On the slopes of that mountain, a group of people were traveling. They were a mixture of young and old people. They were sluggish and in disarray, and upon closer inspection, many were wounded. They were surpassers hailing from Wind God's shelter. They were once incredibly strong, and one of them had even opened 8 gene locks. They had conquered royal shelters for years. But this legacy was brought to its knees upon the arrival of a powerful spirit. Thousands of people had died in the sudden siege, and only 200 had made it out alive. "Careful, we have movement to the left," someone said, which drew their attention there. "Prepare for battle." Uncle San rallied, whose actual name was Lin He. After his command, silence gripped the air again. Then came the sounds of rustling. It drew nearer and nearer. Sweat and fear choked the hearts of those who waited for whatever foul beast would emerge and waylay them. But when the shadow came closer, the dark figure began to take shape. It was a person, strangely. It was a 20-year-old man with skin that was smoother than any fair maiden. If it wasn't for the person's manly face and strong, wide body, he could have very well been mistaken for a woman. When they saw another human approach, relief captured their hearts. The people realized that they did not recognize this man, and a baby was asleep sucking her finger. The sight unnerved them. Humans could not enter a sanctuary before they were 16 years old. Only death would await them if they tried. Kill him. He is not human, and this is a trick. When a person commanded this, bows were raised and aimed at the shadowy figure. Stop, he is one of us. Lin Weiwei leapt off her unicorn and stopped the barrage of arrows that was about to be loosed. One of us. You don't even know him, someone asked. I know him. And if you can't recognize his appearance, then his name is one you must certainly be familiar with, Lin Weiwei said. Are you certain? This is President Ji's son-in-law, Han Sen, Lin Weiwei said. Lin Weiwei was Lin Feng's auntie. They had once met a long time ago, in a conference held by the four families of Lin, Shui, Ji, and Wang. Han Sen broke the silence. He asked, Sister Wei, how is Lin Feng? A vat of relief washed over Lin He. It was immediately comforting for him to learn this person knew Lin Weiwei and Lin Feng, who was still in the second god sanctuary. Not bad, but now is not the time for idle chit-chat. Do you care to tell me why you are out here on Ghost Mountain? And where in the sanctuaries did this baby come from? Lin Weiwei asked. A creature chased me here whilst I was out hunting. Oh, and it's not an actual baby. It's a humanoid pet. I'm still growing it. Sister Weiwei, what is the date? I was chased for a few days, so I fear I have lost track of the date and time. Today is the 7th, Lin Weiwei said. It was common for people not to know the date. Which year? Han Sen asked. It is the year 25, the month of March. Lin Weiwei found it strange he had asked that. Are you sure it is the 25th? Han Sen asked with wild eyes. There was no possible way he had only been absent for 3 days. I am not old enough to misremember the year, Lin Weiwei said. Han Sen was flabbergasted and not sure what to say. That valley must have had some control over the flow of time. Time was still there, and the monkey was able to speed up time. There must be some connection there, Han Sen wondered to himself. They encountered many creatures on the road, ones which Han Sen wished to help fight against, but each time Lin Weiwei pulled him back in the belief she was protecting him. They only ever encountered mutant creatures anyway, and those were killed in the blink of an eye. Lin Weiwei knew Han Sen had just become a surpasser, and so she believed he was weak. Because she regarded him as a friend, she felt compelled to protect him too. The team stopped after their 4th day of travel. A green forest lay ahead of them, one that looked like an endless expanse. The trees there crackled and popped with a green lightning. If you touched them, you'd be painfully electrocuted. A few lightning-charged leaves fell from the boughs above and onto a surpasser who was immobile due to grievous injuries sustained in a previous fight. He screamed as his blood boiled and smoke arose from his head. The leaves did not kill him, thankfully, but it made the group doubly wary of the trees on their way. If we keep going like this, we are sure to meet our demise. We might as well turn back, one surpasser said, pleading for them to leave. Turn back, and go where? Back to Wind God Shelter, the man answered. Lin Weiwei angrily retorted, have you forgotten what occurred there? If we sign a contract, perhaps they won't kill us, the man said desperately. Everyone looked to Lin He, thinking the same way. Whichever way they were headed, their survival was not guaranteed. Uncle San, if there was a human shelter ahead of us, we would go. But we don't know what awaits us, a middle-aged man sadly proclaimed. Uncle San, can we truly make it across Ghost Mountain? We have barely begun our ascent, and already a few of us have been killed. People were starting to turn away and return. No one mentioned their desire to surrender to the spirit that had robbed them of their home, but their intent to do so was clear. Everyone has control of their own fate. Choosing whether you live or die is not a frequent privilege, but on this day, I believe you have each been given this choice. Lin He gave another look to each member of his weary, broken-hearted group, and continued by saying, I will not falter in my resolve to keep my fate my own. I will continue to traverse this path, and you are all welcome to join me. I'm going with you. I'd rather die with pride than whimper softly as some spirit's toe rag, Lin Weiwei said, as she went over to stand by Lin He's side. Han Sen started walking over to Lin Weiwei too, but she stopped him and said, you should go back with them. Ji Yanran is waiting for you, and this road is too perilous for one as green as you. Han Sen did not honor her wishes this time. He continued walking forward and said, if I go back, I don't think the spirit will allow me to use a teleporter. Han Sen's words startled a few of the surpassers, who had not fully realized how miserable and robbed of freedom they would be, with a spirit presiding over them. Using his Dongshuan aura, Han Sen scanned the area. He needed to remain alert for his own sake as much as theirs. Han Sen, when are you going to marry Yanran? Lin Weiwei asked Han Sen this light-hearted question, upon seeing the glum expressions that were glued to the faces of everyone else in their company. After this ordeal is over, I think it will be the right time, Han Sen answered. Lin Weiwei wanted to say something else, but Han Sen then suddenly said, careful, a group of creatures is coming this way. Everyone was shocked at the sudden announcement, but when they looked carefully, they could see the flickers of a shadow that suggested something was coming for them. Lin He heard the patter of paws on the forest floor, growing louder as the creatures moved towards them. He was surprised to learn that Han Sen had noticed them a whole 10 seconds before he did. Lin He had already opened 7 gene locks, and for Han Sen to have better awareness, he must have had a higher number unlocked. How such a thing was possible, he could not guess. Daddy, I want to play with the cats, Bauer professed, clapping her hands with sudden exuberance. They aren't cats, Bauer. They're wolves. Han Sen had a wry smile, as he determined the shapes to be that of wolves on the prowl. Han Sen attributed Bauer's interest in the animal figures to her fondness for bright lights. The others were not half as relaxed as Han Sen and Bauer were, though. The wolf in the front howled, and they jumped towards Han Sen. Han Sen was happy this was going to happen, though, and he thought to himself, finally, it's my time to shine. Han Sen rolled up his sleeves, ready to fight. But before he could make a move, Lin He brought out a long sword and screamed to the high heavens. One moment later, 2 of the wolves were dead and a few were injured. Lin He thought about trying to flee with his people, but all of a sudden, a louder howl sounded. The trees around them shivered with lightning that lit up the sky in response to that announcement. Everyone looked in the direction the howl came from, and they saw a giant blue wolf perched on a rock. Blue lightning flashed around it as its howl ended. Everyone's face dropped in misery. They might have been able to kill the 300 mutant creatures, and they were confident enough to try. But when the alpha wolf showed up, that confidence evaporated, leaving men to tremble in fear. I will draw their attention, Lin He commanded as he ran towards the wolves with his sword in hand. He was determined to take down that alpha. Han Sen looked at Lin He with great respect. He knew he would most likely never see the man again, but he admired his willingness to give his life and draw the wolves away so that the rest could escape. Han Sen did not believe he himself could perform such a courageous and selfless act. Han Sen opened his Dongchuan Sutra and used it to wipe out all the senses of the wolves in the area. Upon its casting, Han Sen transformed all the bloodthirsty wolves into canine-like relatives of headless chickens. They started to flail around aimlessly, unsure of what was happening or what they could do. Lin Weiwei believed she was running into one last valiant battle, where she'd most likely fall. But all of a sudden, the wolves in front of her lost their focus. The humans initially believed this to be a scheme of the wolves, but when they lunged forward with their weaponry, the wolves failed to evade them. They were able to cut down the wolves with ease, and there seemed to be nothing the wolves could do to protect themselves. A couple of the wolves were jumpy and spat out lightning, but those bolts only ended up striking their allies and incinerating them. Seeing the wolves get mowed down with ease, the Wolf King decided to flee the scene despite the grievous loss. Its speed was blisteringly quick, and it managed to disappear from sight in no time at all. Are those wolves retarded? Chen Hu said. Everyone looked happy. Uncle San, what happened to those wolves? Lin Weiwei believed it was Lin He who had done this, but Lin He shook his head, indicating he didn't know what had happened either. Lin He looked to Han Sen then. He knew his people well, and he knew of all the abilities they possessed. The only person he didn't know well was Han Sen. Han Sen, you did this, didn't you? Lin He asked. Han Sen nodded and said, yes, I can snuff out 6 of their senses. Han Sen did not dare say he could actually block 7 of them. That would have given people quite a shock. Lin Weiwei was just about to say it couldn't have been Han Sen, as he had just become a surpasser, but now she had her breath taken away. Lin Weiwei looked at Han Sen as if she did not know him. Little Sensen, why didn't you tell me you could do something like this? The lightning forest was not the sort of place one could hold lengthy discussions. After a brief talk, they heard wolves howling in the distance. Chen Hu and the others were unnerved at the sight and mournfully realized that their trials might not be over. In the distance, the surviving wolves prowled in the undergrowth and watched the travelers. Come and fight us if you dare. Your howls will accomplish nothing. Don't be afraid. There's no need to be. If they come closer, I'm sure our friend Han Sen will reactivate the retardation mode, Chen Hu said. Talking will only slow us down. We should hurry. They continued walking through the forest, and they espied more and more wolves amassing on the fringes of their sight. There were dozens of sharp, gleaming eyes watching them. Some followed them from behind, others were up front. Those wolves sure look hungry. Please remain vigilant. As Lin He said this, the sacred blood Wolf King revealed itself. Before they could react, though, 4 more Wolf Kings appeared. The 5 Wolf Kings howled in unison, and after that, all the lesser wolves began running towards the group with a ravenous appetite. Han Sen quickly snuffed out their senses for a reenactment of what had occurred earlier. So dumb. Have they not learned a thing? An Chen Hu tried to lighten the mood. But unlike last time, the wolves did not stop and wander about aimlessly. They seemed to react better to their disability, and they ran forward at a decent pace. A wolf came into contact with a lightning tree, which rattled it. From the boughs above, many leaves began to fall. Oh no, Lin He screamed. It was a new tactic. The wolves mindlessly charged forward to bash the trees and make the forest rain those electrifying leaves. Everyone drew a weapon and tried to cut the leaves before they could touch them. With every connection of a leaf to a weapon, the leaves exploded in a firework of electricity. It was a frightful sight. Han Sen's skin started to turn red, as if he was a being formed of blood. His black pupils turned red, with many rings emerging within. Han Sen ran the Phoenix Hypergeno art, and his body burst into a living brazier of wild flames. The fire was no longer black either. Due to the effect of the Blood Pulse Sutra, the fire looked demonically red. It was terrifying. He raised his hand and 1,000 firebirds shot out, hungry for murder. There were so many of them, they covered the skies like a veil. At first, the firebirds went for the leaves. Their touch incinerated the leaves effortlessly. The fire still raged around Hansen, and he generated more and more firebirds. When each leaf was destroyed, a bloodbird spawned out of its ashes as well. Where there was once lightning, now there was fire. The forest had become a raging inferno, all answering to the whims of the one who controlled it, Hansen. The fire quickly overwhelmed all it came into contact with, and everything that it touched was turned to ash. From that ash, firebirds arose. It was like the spreading of a violent parasitic infestation. Everyone looked at Han Sen, who had become a fire-casting monstrosity. But Phoenix is not that powerful. Lin He struggled to speak. He was too overwhelmed by what he was seeing. The Wolf Kings were not going to flee, though. With an aura of blue light surrounding them, they raced towards the travelers, all from different directions. Han Sen was not going to waste any time, and he was surely not going to wait for them to close the gap. He transformed himself into a phoenix and flew forward to meet one of the kings. Lightning and fire collided into a dizzying array of fireworks that exploded against each other. Han Sen did not relax his attack. He fearlessly flew towards the Wolf King, Taya in hand. Everyone was shocked, having seen Han Sen kill a sacred blood wolf king with 7 gene locks active with a single hit. Sacred blood creature, lightning wolf killed, no beast soul gained. Consume its flesh to gain 0 to 10 sacred geno points randomly. Han Sen heard the announcement and did not relent. He went straight for another Wolf King. The Blood Pulse Sutra was quite simple. It did not matter how many gene locks it had open. It imbued the power of blood onto every skill its user performed. Everyone was shocked, and even the wolves were taken aback by what had just occurred. Without hesitation, they chose to flee before any more of them became victims of the ruthless man. Han Sen caught up with one of them, and try as the Wolf King might, it was unable to avoid Han Sen's assault. His phoenix flames annihilated the 7 lightning bolts the wolf cast. As Taya was plunged deep into the furry fiend's throat, it was killed in one hit, once again. The rest of the wolves managed to get away. They were terrified of Han Sen, and they scrambled wildly in their attempt to flee. To be honest, it wasn't only the wolves who were scared. Even Lin He and his people were unnerved. The power they had just witnessed was too shocking for them to comprehend. Oh my god, Brother Han is that strong. Wei Wei, didn't you tell us he had only just become a surpasser? Chen Hu was flabbergasted at the ruthless spectacle he had just witnessed. Wei Wei wasn't sure what to say anymore. But Han Sen did not have time to revel in the glory of victory, because the wolves now stopped running. A giant wolf emerged from the shadows of the charred trees. It was purple, and without lightning, it looked like any ordinary wolf. The other wolves parted to make a path for it to approach. They wished to run, but their legs wouldn't follow their commands. That being said, they believed it was for the best. Attempting to outrun what was most likely a super creature was folly. Everyone was petrified. The wolf walked up to Han Sen and stopped right in front of him. They both looked at each other as if they were squaring off right before a fight. It's definitely a super creature. And that means I'll definitely have to become a super king spirit if I'm to stand a chance. Daddy, kitty. Bauer was behind Han Sen, pointing at the wolf while speaking. It's not a kitty, it's a wolf. Han Sen's smile was wry, but he did think it was amusing how she thought every furry creature was a cat. But Bauer wants kitty. Bauer never listened, and she was determined to own everything she deemed cute. The Wolf King's hair stood on its end, and purple lightning flared up to coat its fur. It seemed upset, learning the baby believed it to be a cat. The group of travelers knew they were weaker, but they still valiantly held up their weapons for the fight that was about to ensue. Just as Han Sen was preparing to cast his Super King Spirit mode, something howled in the distance. It was as if all the wolves stopped breathing. And to the humans, the long howl stood out from all others they had been hearing so far. It was similar to the howl of a wolf, but it was slightly different. Strangely, when the howling came to an end, the Wolf King looked less aggressive. Its blinding light subsided, and then it turned around and left. All the wolves turned away from them and left. They disappeared into the darkness, vanishing as if nothing had happened. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss the next chapter.